Sinuous.
Fire. Back off the streets.
Yeah. This album consists of a bunch of tracks that didn't make it to official releases, and still dope enough to wanna put it on repeat quick. So keep this, throw us in your CD player. Oh, I forgot they non-existent, dog. Shit has changed major. So scratch that, throw it in your iPod player. Like, my God, he write hard, I ball on you fakers. Yo, they throw backs and give it away for free. Like, oh boy, go and make noise when you hear. Hope you jump for joy. I'm optimistic, glass ain't half empty, it's half full. Hopefully by now you know me from the Jazz Council, that was years ago. So I brought more fire to douse dudes and playing by house rules. I lay back like a couch crew. I'm that dude to make his own beats, writes his own rhymes, records his own shit. Probably why it takes so much time to put out an album. Man, I'm always behind schedule. Ain't that I ain't hungry, I just always got my plate full. Try to digest all the topics that I'm spitting. You need to sit back and actually take the time to listen. We living in a new age where mind states are feeble. Kids' attention spans are shorter than Danny DeVito. My beats though, be banging, be about my business. Bass stays knocking like a Jehovah Witness. Leave them scattering with cheddar in the gang of rhyme patterns. I ain't worth challenging. You all need some aspirin. Aspiring to be me, no empires to feed. Just a chosen few that's flowing through. Firing up the weed. Jesus, crazy what the world coming to. I'm here to live it, make music. But y'all is just hanging on a gimmick, huh? Wait a minute, man. Don't get me confused with none of these newbie ass rappers, man. I know the game be feeling fucked up, but I've been making beats since 95, regardless if I had the right emotion or not. Word up. Hey yo, I ain't always humble, I ain't always intense. I've had my good and bad days like anyone else, more or less. Probably a lot more than less, sort of more of it in a sense. Feel blessed, so I just move forward through the stress. But don't smoke stress, smoke the bombest weed you ever seen. Cannabis club category, certified Cali green. Type of bomb that I keep up in my sack. They give a lot of cats anxiety attacks, there's no denying the facts. But enough about the weed though, I keep it on a need to know basis. It's time for me to cut to the chase quick. So download the free LP, spread it to your friends and family.
What's going on, folks? What day is it? Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. How's everybody doing? This is live stream number 52. I'm like really excited that we've gotten to that number, but I'm also like, how is this? Like, I remember when we started, I thought 30 days would be like worst case scenario for the epidemic and everything. Either way, guys, we're doing more painting today. That's too loud in my headphones. Looks like it's probably good for you guys. I think it's probably good for you guys. Let me know if it's not. We have a fancy beer today. Well, fancy compared to what I've been drinking. Because this guy's taking a nap right after this. Very excited about it. Alright, let's see. We haven't done anything since yesterday. We are picking up right where we left off, and we're gonna do some work, and we're gonna get to somewhere. Done? Probably not. Maybe. Who knows? Maybe I like where it's at, but I don't really know what I'm gonna do next, as far as finishing this goes. I have a lot of ideas for what I'm gonna do next as soon as this work is done. Super excited about it. I'm just like gnawing at the bit to get to work on it. Question. Milan, well, not a question. Milan, good ears, it was indeed. With the trusty lighter open, because that's what I had hanging around. I meant to turn this down. I'm on baby watching duty at the moment. Can you guys see that? That's little Charlie girl sleeping away. The missus is out running errands. So we're going to put that somewhere where I can see it. What was I going to say? Oh, I can't remember which one of you guys suggested to me to buy Paperlight or Paperlike for the iPad. Came yesterday. I installed it last night. Whoever suggested it deserves a medal. That shit is awesome. Only got to like play a little bit with it last night. Too much work to do. What I wanted to do was just like sit and scribble for a long time. It should come standard with an Apple Pencil. It's amazing. I'm so excited about it. I'm more excited about that than I've been about Procreate at any given point. Whoever suggested it, thank you. So as soon as I get a feel for that, maybe I'll figure out a way. I'm sure there's a way to stream with it. Maybe not. I'm sure there is. There's got to be. We'll do something. But right now, I don't know what I'm doing in that thing. So we'll save that for later. But I'm super excited. So thank you. Oleg, you are the man. Thank you. It changes it entirely. It goes from like a really uncomfortable plastic on glass, like terrible feeling, to like now it feels like a colored pencil on like Bristol or something. It's awesome. It's so good. And I even like the way it feels when you use the fingers still. So I didn't say hello to everyone. Daniel, Vlad, Claudio, Alessio, Milan, Clark. It's about at this point, Michaela. At some point I'm like, what names have I said? I'm just reading down the list, but then it repeats itself. Guys, thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Let's do some drawing. Painting, rather. Cintiq Pro transition. Alright. So this is where we left off. It's got a cool vibe. It's actually, now that I'm looking at it, it reminds me of, maybe it's just the color of the book itself, because I'm pretty sure this is black and white. The Arctic Marauder. Wait, let's switch back to regular cam. Boop. Arctic Marauder by Jacques Tardy. Yeah, I mean, this is like amazing. Let me find a cool. Oh, that's pretty cool. Let me find the coolest page. I think it's just the color that brings it off, and maybe like kind of the overall tonality. Let me find a good one for you guys. This is a cool little graphic novel. That's pretty sweet. I'll show you this one. Look at the drawing on this sucker. It's nutso awesome. Really, really cool. But I think it was just the color that was reminding this. The color and the general kind of mood, obviously the style. That guy knows how to draw. Anyways, that's where we're at. What are we gonna kind of try and do on this guy today? There's a part of me that thinks that maybe it's time to start getting into like noodling details. I like the overall feel. There's some like quality of light issues that I want to work with, and some legibility issues. I think maybe. I'm not entirely sure. You know, when in doubt, start doing something. That's what I always say. What is that? Oh. Yeah, I got the window open. It is gorgeous out here. I can't store my beers outside anymore because it's now warm out. Which is always a bittersweet little turn of events. Okay, this is repeating already. Let's go through the first half of this playlist. This is a different set of tunes, different vibe, and kind of all over the place, to be honest. But you guys let me know what you think. Okay. Definitely like feeling that like I don't know what I'm thoroughly out of my comfort zone. That's a good place to be. But also kind of a mildly scary place to be. And so we're just gonna kind of, what are we gonna do? I'm not sure what we're gonna do. I feel like you get to a point where you're like, oh, this kind of this kind of got further than I was expecting it to, which is great news, like very exciting, right? But by that same token, then you start getting scared of like making changes. It's especially true in like traditional media. Like, I can't remember the last time I really kind of felt this way, since I've done so little in traditional media. But I do like little sketches for my wife and my daughter sometimes. Well, I do them really for my wife because the daughter doesn't get them yet. But when I do them, you definitely have this kind of when it's going well and you're not done, like every like next line just feels like terrifying because you're like, this could be the one that ruins the whole thing. And really, that doesn't ever happen, but you just kind of get scared of it, right? But I'm kind of experiencing that with this one. I'm like, I like where this is going. I don't feel like it's done yet. I feel like it needs more work. But I'm very much like scared of my lack of ability to do said work. So we're just gonna kind of face our demons, right? That's my thinking. Jean-Marc, what's going on, buddy? Good to have you here. I am taking a page out of your playbook and trying to be someone who can draw things. And we'll see how it goes. I also, some other news in the art book world. It's not going to arrive until next week, but Aaron Lamonic, the guy who does those incredibly beautiful, beautiful sketches, if you don't follow him, you should. Beautiful, beautiful work. He has a class on Learn Squared, one that I've been like threatening myself to take for a while, and I really feel like I should. But definitely have a look at his work. It's gorgeous. And in his last post, he mentioned this book, called Orange, by a Japanese author named Koji Morimoto. And it is awesome looking, but super expensive. I was like, either way, I feel like it was awesome enough to buy. I'm very excited about it. Here's a link for it if you guys want to have a looks at it. Super expensive. It's like $100. But if you take that name and then Google it and look at some of the images, they're so cool. And I feel like it's one of those books that it's going to go out of print and then it's going to go completely through the roof. Jean-Marc, you took Aaron Lamonic's class? Everyone says it's awesome. And he's basically teaching like the thing that I really feel like I need to learn. Why I've not just like taken it, I don't know. Maybe that'll be part of like the next 2 weeks while I try to learn some things. And take some time off from client work, which I'm so excited about. Guys, I love my clients and I love client work. But when you do a bad job scheduling your time, it really kind of gets to you. And I have nobody to blame but myself. And so we're just head downing, power throughing, so to speak. But I am very easy, puppy. Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. Oops. I'm going to mute that for you guys. You got a wee bit excited. Sorry about that. That was probably loud for you guys. It was loud for me. I apologize. The puppy got excited. I think the missus forgot something. So some of the things that I did notice when looking at it, there's some like some, hey buddy, you want to say hi to everyone? Here you go. Up, 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 up. Oh, there you go. Say hi to the peoples. Say hi to the peoples. See, do you see yourself? Say hello. Oh, you got a bone? You got a bone? Okay. That's Killian. stopping in to say hello to all of you folks. Jean-Marc. Yeah, it's worth seeing, and the first lesson is free now. Well, I'll definitely do at very least the first lesson. To get a vibe for it. I feel there's something, I can't remember. Something changed with, it's on Learn Squared, I believe. Right? Correct me if I'm wrong on that. And I feel like at one point I'm like, oh, I kind of got, work's kind of slowing down a little bit. I think I can probably, take on like a new endeavor. And right as I was thinking about that, something changed with their pricing. I don't know if the structure changed or the prices changed. And there was something that just kind of was like, oh, well, like yesterday that was like half the price or something like that. And it's not like it's even like really a question of money. It just kind of like sticks in your craw. You know what I mean? So something like that happened. I can't remember what, as far as the specifics go. And then, life and getting busy and all of those types of things happen. And here I am, having still not listened to it, or watched it, or done it. So I'll definitely have to check it out. Claudio, who's he? Oh, you mean Puppy? Puppy is very nice. And so is Aaron Lamonic, from as far as I can tell. I don't know him, but he seems great. And super talented, like super talented. He's definitely one of those artists that when I look at his work, I get that feeling of like, it feels like you communicated more things than there were lines to communicate with, if that makes sense. Like there's an efficiency of communication with his work that I really, really aspire to. Just beautifully done. Plus he does like cool, like the ideas are super duper cool. So yeah, so I'm very excited about that book. And that should be here, I think they said Tuesday? I think they said Tuesday. We will find out. And then I also bought another Erwin Olaf book. Those of you that watched my Art Books I Love stream probably heard me talking about him. He's an amazing, amazing photographer. There's a second book that I've been meaning to buy for a while, but it's not the cheapest book in the world either. And so I just kind of hadn't done it. You know how it is. Like, you kind of see like a book, you're like, I really want it. I don't need it. I just want it. And so like, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to wait until I have an excuse to buy it, and then I'll buy it. And that one was my gift to myself for finally making some decisions and ordering a new machine. So I'm excited. Excited. Nothing like good books. Milan. I didn't actually look at the course yet, but I'm excited that he has one. Super talented artist. And Into the Spider-Verse. When I watched that movie, I just watched it at home. And usually like what you rent most movies for like $3.99 or whatever on Amazon. When they're not available on other streaming services. And that one, like, I rented it, I watched it, and like as soon as it was over, I just bought it so that I could watch it whenever I want. That is an amazing act. I'm not sure what's happening there. That's just an amazing like masterclass in like visual style and visual storytelling. It's another kind of similar to my painting endeavor. How conceited of you, Michael, to even compare yourself to that. That's not what I meant. In thought, like, the thing that I like about the painting stuff and why I'm so, like, kind of interested in it and been jazzed about it is that I do feel like, you know, especially to, like, my professional work, which is, you know, photoreal, super realistic stuff, when you start working in, like, intentionally vague or not as clear or realistic styles, there's a lot of things that kind of start naturally happening that I think is really cool as a viewer. It's kind of like the full impetus of this whole exercise, or main impetus of this whole exercise. And I feel like that movie just, you know, from beginning to end is like, oh, that's what you want to do. Here's like the best possible way to do it, because we've just got it all figured out. It's so gorgeous. What's weird is that I'm sitting here like doodling details because I don't really know what to do. I think it's kind of starting to help. I don't know. If any of you folks in the chat are looking at this and you're thinking, when is he going to fix X? Whatever X may be. Let me know what you're seeing and what you're thinking. Because I don't fully know what to do right now. Just kind of trying to figure it out. My only kind of thought, whenever it comes down to like the detailing side of any type of painting, that's like when, like, you know, the heart starts going. Heart starts going, I know I don't know what I'm doing, and so I start getting, you know, for better and for worse, like kind of lazy. Lazy is not the right word. Timid. You know, you kind of retreat into that like safe place of like, okay, I know if I do X, it'll look okay. And I don't know what Y is, so I'm just gonna do X. I feel like that's one of those things that in practice, you really gotta fight yourself against it with yourself. Right? Because the whole idea practice is to do things that make you feel uncomfortable. I do feel like I'm starting to get a little bit better of a feel for how much of a change is a visually significant change. So that's promising. What is playing? I did not do a good job of proofing this. We are going to change musics back to what we were listening to last time, because I didn't like that. There we go. Put a happy tree in. Do it for James. Milan. I mean, I don't know where we'd put a tree in this image. We could, you know, just really, really go for it. And just, you know, give him a little balloon. It's funny every time. There we go. Image done. Any perspective lines hanging out in the background? I do not. I feel like that would have been a helpful thing to have done. Ooh, hey-o. Is put like a grid texture on it so that you have perspective lines everywhere. Might try that next time. If I do this exercise again, the kind of white line work exercise, I feel like that might be a good thing to do. So what else, guys? What's on your mind these days? I don't have anything really to talk about today. Dun, 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 dun. Something like that. That feels kind of in perspective. Kind of, sort of, maybe. Okay, let's see. We can do it. Yeah, so here's kind of my thinking right at the moment, for what it's worth or not worth, as it may be. I think that clearly I don't know what to do right now, which is fine. I think that like in these situations, the best thing you can do is just like kind of keep working. Like I think the reason I don't know what to do is that I don't know what would actually help. And it's like if you're trying to learn, what's a good example? Let's say you're like scattering like a meadow, where like like a wild meadow or something like that in 3D. And you go in, you fire up Forest Pack or whatever software you use for scattering, and you go in and you pick like the preset and you see how that looks. And it's like, oh, that kind of looks okay, but it doesn't look great. And so then maybe you look for some tutorials, or you start just kind of playing with some sliders. And what clearly is going on is you just don't know quite what to do, right? Which is not a terrible thing. And randomly guessing at things, usually not the best method, but if you go through that process kind of long enough, so to speak, you start getting to a place where, like, oh, okay, so this slider does this, and I'm just, as you like play with it more and more and more, you start thinking like, oh, you start looking at maybe some reference images, and you start thinking, oh, okay, so if I want this to look like a wild meadow, like I have the right plants in there, but you know, I need to, let's say, I need to cluster them a little bit, right? I can't just scatter them all evenly distributed because that's not how plants grow. It doesn't look realistic. Blah, 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 blah. Right? There's like a million things that you can learn. Just, and like as you do it, you're kind of guessing the whole way. But as you start to like stumble on things, you start realizing why X works or Y works or whatever it might be. And then the next time you need to scatter something, even if it's not a wild meadow, you usually have, yes, a better grip on the software if you had just gone through that little process, and you know, that's worth something for sure. But more importantly, what you know is like, oh, last time I realized that what I had in my head as like a wild meadow wasn't particularly accurate to what a wild meadow is. And so by going through and figuring that out with the wild meadow, you're like, okay, so I'm doing a manicured lawn. Well, the first thing I should do is look at some reference for a manicured lawn, and then it's not even just that you know to look at reference, you look at reference differently because you know, like, okay, so how are the plants grouped or clustered, or are they random patches? Do they stick to the edges? Is it defined by slope? Like every time you go through and do it, you inform yourself of what to look for better. And I think what I'm at now is like I have like a vague idea of like what I would consider like this image finished. But it's not a particularly helpful idea. It's just kind of like I'll know it when I see it. It's not hugely meaningful in the sense of like, okay, I need to do this. It's not in the same way that like I can look at like something I'm doing in 3D and say like, okay, I know I need to do this and this, and then I'll probably be good to go. And the reasons I think for that is, at least my current conjecture, is that, whoa, that was the old UPS. Little power fluctuation. That, folks, is why you get UPSs and not just power strips. And when you hear it, you see what else is open and you make sure everything's saved. So for this, like, I have an idea of what like this image finished should feel like, but I don't know what it should look like, and I don't know what like the perfect ending to it would be. Like as far as detail and all that kind of stuff. But by going through and doing it and then like, you know, figuring it out kind of the hard way, figuring out what that means to me, because obviously it's a very subjective thing. But figuring it out that way then means next time I'm like, okay, I don't need to waste all of my time putting in these little stripes because those ones don't matter, but you know, this one over here does. It's kind of like an efficiency thing. Michaela, you might know this. It's like what's the old lady in the second Name of the Wind? The crazy old lady that's like the most badass martial artist in all of the land. She wears the red hat that her niece knitted her. If you're still listening and you know her name, let me know. But it's not that she was the fastest or the strongest or whatever else. It's that she didn't move any more than she needed to fight. Same idea, right? Efficiency and knowing what the right thing is to do. I don't know what that is yet. But I can't think of any other way to learn other than continuing to do what I'm doing. Good news is I could sit here and do this like all day if I had the time. do enjoy me some sketchings. Excuse me. Methinks I need to deal with the figure. Yep. How are we doing on time? I have no idea. No idea. 35 minutes. Fantastic. I think I like where almost everything is, with the exception, I think her. In my head, that's a woman. I would go to more hard edges on verticals. Yeah. Yeah, hard edges scare me, Jean-Marc, but I like the way you're thinking. I think if I'm understanding you correctly, is that hardening particularly the verticals, vertical edges, will give the whole image, it'll work with the composition more. Yeah. Hard edges scare me when I watch like the dudes who like sit there and like they just you know, they're like, okay, we're gonna put a nice hard edge in like right here, and they just like, you know, put like that hard edges, and then they just like bam, and then they move forward, and then at the, you know, end of like 20 minutes everything makes sense because hard edges obviously are easier to understand. But I feel like there's a certain amount of confidence that you need to do that I do not have. All right, I'm gonna try to fix her, but I like that suggestion, Jean-Marc. Thank you. I'm not sure that I would have thought of it. Sometimes I hear suggestions and I'm like, yeah, I know that's what I need to do, and I've been avoiding it for whatever bad reason. It's always a bad reason. That one I'm not sure I would have put, like I wasn't like consciously avoiding that. I didn't even think of it, so thank you. But let's see if we can't get her into more of the pose that I want her in. What is the pose that I want her in? Not sure what the pose is that I want her in, but I know that that's not right. So let's put my non-existent figure drawing. Oh yeah. Deselect. Excuse me. Let's put my non-existent figure drawing skills to the test. Let's just see. You know what I think I should do? See if I can't kind of outline where I want this to. Oop. Can't kind of see if I can't outline it. So we're looking a little bit up at her, kind of at shoulder height with her. And what did we say last time? Hands go opposite. So this hand would be forward. I don't think we'd be able to see that. It's still crazy to me how like desperate our brains are. How desperate our brains are to like find patterns like that is not like a realistic silhouette, right? But like we can see a knee, even though it's probably too low. That seems like a really long thigh, right? Like the brain just wants to make sense of nonsense, no matter what. Which I'm gonna use to as much of an advantage as I can muster. I feel like that needs to be a little. I feel like it needs to be higher, but I feel like the higher it goes, the more excited she seems to get. I don't want her excited. Excited is not the right mood. That feels more like she knows, like, she's only taken the first step, but she's already tired. Okay, I like it. And let's, let's see how that does. Yeah, you didn't do great. What was I gonna do? I was gonna grab it. Grab that. And let's paint underneath of her a little bit before we try to paint her. Because, you know your limits. Now let's paint her into something. Nope. Let's fix all the outlining stuff. Put that outlining stuff over there. There we go. I think that should be good. Let's lock her pixels for a moment. Like all of the light stuff in there needs to get toned down. Let's go darken. Boop. I feel like this is where maybe color mixer brush. I feel like this is one of those tools that I should learn how to use. But
but every time I've tried it, I've not liked how it turned out. Maybe it's a settings thing, maybe it's a practice thing, maybe it's a combination of both. Yeah, let's go back to normal brush. Be normal. Be normal. Okay, that's better than it was. It's not great yet, but
I think it definitely.
I feel like it's definitely speaking a better language. I think. All right. Hard edges. We're gonna save since power seems to be fluctuating. We're gonna steel ourselves for a thing we know is uncomfortable. Harder vertical edges. Let's try it. Maybe like most things, it's not as scary once you actually do it as it is when you're as it is in your head, right? Logan Nine Fingers. I feel like if there's one thing to learn from Logan Nine Fingers, it's that basically. So we're gonna try. I'm gonna try and harden them up. That just didn't sound right. I didn't feel good about that. I'm gonna try and Jesus, how do you say that without saying harden, firm, etc., etc.? I'm going to try and make some harder edges. Right now, without the lasso tool. Lasso tool really scares me. Which is to say, we will be tackling it at some point or another, but I feel like if I was to go in and add lasso edges to this, it would remove the kind of loose feeling that I already like so much. So instead, I'm going to try and just firm edges. I'm gonna label this layer to see what I can do. I'm gonna try and do it just with like actual brush strokes. Maybe some lasso. We'll see if I get some. Excuse me. Can you guys hear that? I don't know if you guys can hear that or not. You can definitely probably hear the sirens, but good old puppy. I really hope you guys could hear that. Puppy, especially when we were living in New York City, Mary and I spent a lot of time trying to get the pupsters to howl, like on command. And it had to be confusing for him because obviously we didn't want him to bark any more than he needed to. But howling we were very much in favor of. And now whenever he hears a siren or sometimes when the baby cries, he just howls like no tomorrow. And gotta be honest, freaking love it. This one, theoretically, that should all be lighter. I'm gonna go one layer above so that we can delete. Do we want to do it as a screen layer? I don't know. I don't know if we do or not. That seems a bit excessive, but that's okay. Let's actually go heavy and then tone it back. Alright, so we'll delete it out from that lamp. Ooh, microphone's in the way. Actually, I don't know if we need to delete it from that line. That kind of gives us the edge to start working with. We want to go lighter. That's lighter. And then the other option would be to go lighter on this as though like light was hitting it. That feels like it steals attention in a direction I don't want it to go, so we're going to go with that direction and darken this edge. Clark, I mean, they wouldn't be wrong in this type of headspace. Milan, that's a good question. I didn't talk about that at all. Define. Oh, Clark, God, Savior. I need to pay attention. It's even in bright orange for me. I was supposed to notice it. Uh-oh, baby's crying. Baby is awake. I know I'm not supposed to go in at 2 o'clock because she is supposed to sleep until 3, but I've got to give her at least a little bit of time. But this is the little one. You guys probably can't see that in the little corner. She's standing and crying. That's okay. She's actually tends to be really good alone in her crib, which is awesome. Like in the mornings, if she wakes up early, she just kind of sits there and plays with her things in her crib. It's awesome. Completely lost my train of thought. Yeah, a car blew up outside of my house yesterday. Parked car, turned off, nobody in it. Not my car, thank God. Suspicious? Is there foul play involved in that? I don't know. Originally I'm like, I don't know, faulty battery, oil leak, you know, bad wiring or something, who knows? And then I was talking to one of my very, very good friends, who's a lawyer, and he's like, oh yeah, that's an insurance scam. That insurance fraud, most definitely. I'm like, how do you know? He's like, did you see the people when they came out? He's like, I'm like, yeah, they came out like well after the fire people had already left. They finally came out when the police were there, and they're like, he's like, how upset did they seem? And I'm like, not as upset as I would be if my car just blew up out of nowhere. And he goes, yeah. So that is his working theory about the whole thing, is that it was an insurance scam. I'm not sold on that entirely, but I feel like we would need more facts to really come to that conclusion. But it's not implausible. Not implausible at all. But yeah, so that happened. That was crazy. I feel like that edge is pretty good. What else? Mike, you should try RTX voice. It cuts all noises for the microphones. Oh, Daniel, I saw like headlines about that. The RTX powered audio something or another, and like clearly I didn't actually get a chance to read the article or not. What's the idea behind it? Does it basically learn like here's the things it wants to hear? Like how would it tell that we didn't want to hear that siren? I wonder how AI, I'm assuming the machines are winning. I don't know. But yes, I saw the headlines about that, and I just haven't had a chance to read on it. Is it cool? Have you tried it? Does it look like it would be cool? Oh, she is upset. Well, that's okay, because we're coming in on an hour. It's almost perfect timing. Let's see. This is the edge group at the moment. I don't feel like I'm done with the edges. But, you know, baby steps. Obviously very tentative, but I feel like they actually do help quite a bit. of like giving some structure and depth back into this. And I think that like right here, that's still, those don't feel behind this to me yet. So I think that that's getting some depth in there, which I think will actually be quite easy, is going to be the next step. And let's see how far we kind of came, not knowing what we were going to do today. Knowing we were going to paint, but not knowing what we were going to paint. Or how we were going to make this better. I'm actually happy with that. Like, I feel like there's a part of me that needs to accept that, like, you know, within an hour while talking with the baby, you know, standing there waiting for me to come and save her from her crib. Right, like an hour is not going to move mountains all of the time. Sometimes it does, but not all of the time. And I will say that, like, I feel like most of those doodles, those noodling details do help. When you draw along the guide on Photoshop, it tends to follow it if you are drawing it fairly vertical. One thing that can help with the cheat side of painting verticals, when you draw along the guide on Photoshop, it tends to follow it if you are drawing it I've been using just good old shift. Good old, you know, perfectly straight lines. There's something kind of interesting with that. I'm not going to delete that layer. I'm just going to turn it off for the moment. Everything's if your voice, music, clicks, mic noises. It's great. Daniel, I'm going to look into it. I'm going to go get her in a second. Okay. The missus was still here. Maybe focus more on pressure. I see. I think I might see what you're saying. You mean if there is actually a guide? Ah, yes. If I just tried to draw a straight line, there's something happening there. See, that's why they need. Oops. That's why they need the perspective guide that we were talking about the other day from Procreate, where it'll snap to actually perspective grids when you're drawing. That's what they need. I have to imagine that somebody's working on that. But okay, I'm gonna go help with the baby because wife was working out. I'm sure she wants to get back to that. Guys, thank you for being here. What day is today? Wednesday. I've not even checked with Patrick to see if we are doing Houdini tomorrow or not. So I don't know what we're doing tomorrow, but it'll be at the same time. I will let you know as soon as I know. Thank you for being here. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Be kind to one another. Make something cool. And yeah, until tomorrow, guys. Thank you so very, very much. I do appreciate it. It's awkward time, and I put the pen away, which is only going to make it more awkward. So we'll say cheers to you and yours. May you have many returns on the day. What am I looking for? I'm looking for this. All right, guys, cheers. And boop. And beep.